Yo, 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 what's goody? It's Bear in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Queen Talk. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this episode. Today's special guest is Yvette, based in Cali. Yvette, based in Cali, another TikTok find. Thank you for joining me, Yvette. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day.
I'm sure it is over there too.
Oh, it
You have
is.
beautiful
I can't
days all
wait to
year
go
round.
outside. I mean, some days are a little colder, but they don't get crazy out here.
Are you born and raised in Cali?
Yes, I am. Mhm.
So that's Cali cold. That's what we call Cali cold. It's
Oh, I know. Cali cold is nothing. I lived in Iowa for 9 years, so I know what real cold is. This
yeah,
ain't nothing.
right. I moved to LA for one short year, and when I was there at the beginning I was like, yeah, this is nothing, but then towards the end I was like, okay, my body's adjusting to this Cali cold now. It is kind of a little chilly out here. Um
Uh-huh.
how have you liked the LA life? That's
I mean, I'm not really in LA like that.
or
I
the
have a
Cali.
grandma who
Yeah,
lives
you're
out there, but out here it's nice. I live in Lancaster, so it's a lot calmer. Um, Not a lot of traffic, pretty chill. Very conservative though, but there's always conservative people everywhere. But
yeah,
yeah,
but
I like it.
I mean, there's conservative people everywhere, but as recent the election, Cali was one of the very few blue um states. So, but where the county that you're
Yeah,
in is
it's pretty
so
conservative. Yeah, yeah.
is that where
Lancaster's
you were
pretty
born and
conservative
raised, or is that
city.
just where you?
I was I was actually born in North Hollywood. And we moved up here to the AV after the Northridge
Oh,
earthquake that happened out there. Our apartment was like flat out, like it was gone. So we ended up moving out here and just been out here forever, basically. Hmm.
jeez, that was.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
I want to say I was maybe two and a half, three when it happened.
Okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
so you like the aftermath of everything, like growing up, like uh you didn't really, you were so young, you weren't like able to like grasp everything at that point in
Yeah,
time.
what happened? Mm-mm. To me, it was just like we moved. Like we lived with my grandma for a little bit and then we moved out here. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you grew up with so you're Afro Latina. I don't think we mentioned that at all yet. And so you grew up with your mom and your dad, or was it just your mom?
Yeah.
Or okay.
It was both my parents. Yep. It was.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how was that upbringing for you? I know when I was like scrolling, it was more of a Latino upbringing that you grew up with.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, because I'm fully Latina. So, like, my dad is from Panama and my mom's from Guatemala. So, both Central America. They migrated out here. My dad, when he was 18, I want to say 17, 18. My mom, when she was 22, I think it was. Yeah. So, Latina through and through. Yep.
and I just, so like you spoke in a video of just like being like Afro Latina and like the
Hmm.
dynamics of that, and I'm just like, what has your experience been like with your upbringing, being Afro Latina?
Yeah. So, it was very, I mean, I loved it. Like it was nice, but it wasn't until I got older that I realized how much racism there was where I grew up. Because I grew up very in a white like area. So Lancaster was very white when I was younger. It still is, but not as much. There's a lot more diversity now. But I also grew up in the church, and the church that we went to is called Lancaster Baptist Church, and it's huge and it's mostly white. But we went to the Spanish department. But even in the Spanish department, there was a lot of colorism it was still me, my sister, my dad. We were the only Afro-Latinos there. And so growing up, it was very hard to kind of figure out like where I fit in. And we really weren't talked to about what it was like to be Black in America. So we were just kind of like confused on why we were treated differently sometimes or why we would get in trouble for certain things that other people didn't get in trouble for. Um, so just like a lot of bullying, honestly, to where you just didn't fit in. And it was just hard to find your people. And of course, like I would make my friends with Latinos mostly at that point when I was going to church. Um, and then obviously white people, then you had to fit in, you know, a little bit. But yeah, so it was just difficult to figure out my own identity, especially growing up in a church where you're not really supposed to have an opinion on how things are supposed to be or when things just don't feel correct. But to them, it's correct because, you know, it's a white world. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you have those conversations like within your family of like, okay, just like how diverse you guys are and just like navigating the world? Did you have those conversations within like your household or just
no, not at all. So we were just kind of out in the world being discriminated against and didn't really know why. So, like I said, like as I got older, I figured it out. I was like, oh, like this is why I was treated this way. Or this is why I get in trouble for this, and other people wouldn't. Or people would kind of like racially profile me and like expect me to act a certain way, but I'm just like this calm person that I'm just super chill. So like, I don't know.
what
It was
age?
just weird.
Yeah, what age were you when you discovered that?
Just oh, I was way older. I want to say to probably like my mid 20s. Like I feel like it was recent. Yeah, mid
Like what
twenties.
made you realize that? Like what was it like? Oh, okay, this
Uh,
is what was it like the final point was like, oh, okay, it makes
I think I
sense.
just started to dissect things. So like I was trying to figure out why I didn't really fit into the Black community because um obviously I look Black on the outside, but like I don't really know a lot of the culture, so I would get made fun of because I didn't know like certain movies or like traditions that you just do as a Black person, you know? And so I started like thinking like, dang, like I actually grew up watching a lot of like white people movies, if you want to call it that, you know? And
Same, same.
yeah, so it was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. There's like a huge different shift. And then I would talk to my Latino friends and like they're watching, you know, novelas and stuff. And I didn't really watch novelas. Like, I think the only thing that like I would have in common with that was like watching this one show that was called Mujer Casos de la Vida Real. And it was basically just like stories, like real life stories, super dramatized into like a little show or episode or whatever. But yeah, so like I started dissecting that and I was like, yo, like actually growing up, I thought I was so Black, like the darkest person there. And I'm obviously really light skinned. And I was like, yo, I'm actually not that Black. Like I'm not that dark. Like I just felt like that because everybody around me was white. And I was like, okay, so this is probably why I would get bullied. This is why I would get in trouble by the teachers all the time for doing silly things that kids do, you know? And yeah, and that's when I really started dissecting and trying to I really started to like not only bring in my Latin culture, but also like being Black and like accepting the fact that I am Black in America. And the reason why I get mistreated sometimes is because of that and not just because I don't even know. I really never had a reason. I just kind of let it brush off my shoulders and never really let it affect me because it was just what I was used to, but I never knew why. So that's when I finally realized why.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think uh I've had this conversation with like a couple other like biracial guests of just like
Cool.
trying to find the balance of like the middle area of like it's kind of like where do I fit in a sense.
Hmm.
Um and it so you're it's relatable. You're not the only one that's like feeling this way, of course, of um just trying to you're both. You're not one or the other. It's both, and like, yeah.
Hmm.
So I now that I have a partner who is half black and uh Hispanic as well, half Hispanic as well, I've it's definitely opened my eyes a lot more um
Hmm.
in that transition. So I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah. It's definitely
With
difficult to navigate, but we get through.
yeah, and with your family, do you feel like um you said you haven't had any conversations about that dynamic at all, but do you feel like your family has been supportive, or do you feel like you hear remarks from your family, either side, um, against one or the other, just in your family dynamics as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I get it a lot. So like I have a cousin who's Panamanian, but his dad is black. So like my auntie looks black, but she's Latina. She's actually Latina from Panama. But his dad is actually full black from America, and he always tells me like you're not black, like you don't know what discrimination is, like you light skin. Like he always gives me shit about that all the time, and I hate it. Like I hate it so much because it's like I understand that I'm not as dark as you, but I still get discriminated against. Like it might not be to the extreme, but it's still there. And then on the other side, like my mom's side of the family, who's light skinned, I get that whole mejorar la raza, which just means make the race better, which is it's actually just make the race lighter. And like you want to marry to somebody who's lighter skinned than you to make it whiter. And so like I get that on that side. So it's just like I can't find my space, not even within my family, you know? So it's a little difficult.
And so like you said you can't find your space, but I found a video that you put about recently, just like joyful, which I think is
Hmm.
like a transition of just like living without anyone's permission, and you said that like that's how you've lived your life, which I think, like I said, do you feel like that also played in a role of like your coming out story of just like being different, like that also was just like, okay, I'm also part of the community as well?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I've always kind of been different, but like once I came out, that was like it. Like not only am I, black Afro-Latina, but I'm queer. And then recently, I figured out that I'm also non-binary, and it's- my family just doesn't acknowledge any of that. So like within my family, my queerness isn't talked about at all. Like it's just everybody knows because I'm very vocal about it, but it's not something we talk about. So that's not really a conversation in the house or within my family dynamic, like outside of the house. But I don't know. It's just, I've always tried to see the like brighter side of things. Like I've been through so much in life that I think the only way I've ever gotten through it is to be joyful, to just be grateful for what I have. And, as long as I have a roof over my head and some food to eat, like, what else do I really need? And I think I started to see that perspective when I first got kicked out for coming out and I had to live in my car. I had to still go to school, still go to practice and do everything I needed to do on top of making sure I'm making money. So I
How
think
old were
having that
you?
experience, I was 18. I had just turned 18. So I had just got my car. So I was grateful I had a car. So it's like, there's always little things that you can be grateful for, even though there's kind of shitty people in the world or you're in a shitty circumstance? And the little things like that have just really helped me just find the little pieces of joy in life, the little glimmers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you told your family that you were a part of the community at 18, and then And so you're like, okay, if this is the lifestyle you want to live, then you're on your own, or how did that play out?
Yeah. So I've always been scared of my parents. Let's just put it like that, because we've never really been able to be open with any of our feelings. It was just like what the church says, it's what we do, and that's it. There's no questioning it. And so I knew that if I would have come out before I turned 18, they would have more than likely sent me to like one of those conversion camps. So I waited till I was 18. So like as soon as I was 18, I was like, all right, it's time. I think I waited, I want to say maybe a month after my 18th birthday. And one day before we were on our way to church, I was like, you know what, I'm not going. I'm done with church. And I was like, I'm moving out. And I didn't even have the courage to talk to them. I'm going to be straight up. I didn't have the courage to tell them. I left them a note and I left. And then I let them read it. I came back and I was like, okay, so like, how do you guys feel about this? Like, what's going to happen now? And they were like, well, if you're going to be this way and you want to live under our roof, that's not going to happen. Like, you either stop all that, go to therapy through the church, or you can't live here. So I was like, all right, well, I guess like I came for nothing. I guess I'm leaving, again. And yeah, that's how that happened with me coming out. And I didn't talk to my parents for, I want to say a year. And then when I talked to them again, they were like, no, we don't want to talk to you. They disowned me. They disowned me for, I want to say 3 years. And then they came around again.
Wow.
But it's just been like a little up and down relationship with my parents. Like it's not very, mm, I don't know how to say it, but there's no actual like connection. Like it's just like I'm their kid. And so like, of course they love me, but they just hate everything about me. So yeah,
Damn, I'm
yeah.
sorry, Yvette. That is tough. Like,
Hmm.
and then you're out here spreading this message of like just being joyful and
Well,
getting
yeah, of
through it.
course.
Like, and that's really hard though. Like, that's it's good that you put yourself in that mindset. Like, that is very great on
Yeah.
you. Like, I know a lot of people like that. That would be tough to get through. Um,
Hmm.
that path and that journey of having to navigate on your own, and then um from the sounds of it, it sounds like even now, like there's still, so like you've been married, and
Hmm.
so were they involved in that at all? Like, have they come
Oh
around at all, or
no.
like, yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. When I told them I was getting married, I was like, can you guys please come out? So they're like, no, we're not supporting that. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Because I wanted to have a bigger wedding, but because they weren't going to be there, I was like, what's the point? So it was just small, intimate. Like my sister came out and, what was it? My ex's best friend was there and my cousin came out and that was it. And we just got married at like a cute little park. But,
So would you say like that's the support system, that like that's your your sister? I see, like that's
yeah.
I see her in a few of your videos and stuff like that. Would you say like that's your support right there, and like that's your family's your sister, like has always been stuck by
Oh
you?
yeah, for sure. Well, and that's recent. So like when I first moved out, there was a lot of tension between my sister and I, which I totally get just because of our background. We never really knew how to talk about our emotions or just be vocal with how we make each other feel in different ways. And so, I mean, we ended up having this conversation, I want to say a few years ago, where we both kind of apologized with how we went about me moving out, and her staying here with my parents and having to deal with the backlash of me leaving. Um, and so there was like a lot of resentment of like, I got out and she was still stuck here because she's also queer. And so it was just a lot of resentment in that moment. So it wasn't until I moved back a couple of years ago that we finally reconnected and like we started to to know each other again and figure things out. And she started to go to therapy and I started meditating and reading a lot of books. I couldn't really afford therapy, so I kind of figured out my own therapy. Uh, and that's what kind of brought us together again. We're able to talk about things, and she's definitely my support system now. Like, I don't know what I would do without her at this point. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you know that you guys were both queer during that time away from each other? Or did you guys find that out when you guys reconnected?
No, well, I came out to my sister when like maybe like ninth grade. Like she always knew I was queer. Everybody knew, but no, at the same time. Like I don't know how to explain it,
Yeah.
but yeah. So like she always knew that I was queer, and but she didn't actually come out until I'm gonna say 4 years ago to like close friends, and then it was like maybe 3 or 2.5 years ago that she came out to my parents.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so like your parents are like it's just you and your sibling, right? It's just you two.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So
just too.
how was your parents just like the same reaction for your
Actually,
sister?
no, which I think that like hurt me so bad because, you know, she's an adult, she has her own money, and she still lives at home. And they didn't tell her she needed to leave. They just like ignored the whole subject altogether. Like it was just like she told them, they argued about it, and then it just was never talked of again.
Wow.
So that's where it hurt. It was just like, dang. So like you had a reaction with me where it's like I'm a kid still, didn't know anything, super sheltered, to just be kicked out of my household, you know? And then you got somebody who's grown and you just ignore the whole thing. You just don't even react or anything. But that's where my parents are very emotionally immature.
Do
So,
you you said it's like you don't really have that close of a connection with him, but what does
mhm.
that look like now? Like you do you go over there? You guys like it's not like oh they don't want to see you or anything like or how is that
Oh,
dynamic?
no. So, like, what happened was my ex and I moved back out here from Iowa, and I want to say we were out here for maybe 6 months, and then we ended up separating. And I didn't have a place to stay. So I ended up calling up my mom, like, hey, can I come stay with you guys for a bit? Like, I don't know how long. And she was like, yeah, you can stay as long as you want to, which that was like total shock. I was like, wait, what? I can stay as long as I want to? Like, that's weird. But okay, cool. Of course I'm going to take it up because I had nowhere to stay. And so I ended up moving in here. The first year, which was last year, was really tough. Like, I slept on the floor, like, I really didn't have my own space. Um, but like now it's like, okay, like they finally let me get a bed and like I was able to rearrange the room a little bit, take some stuff out that was mom's. And so like now our relationship is more so like regular stuff. I don't really know. Like we talk about the weather or something or like food or different exercises or we're both into like health and stuff. So we'll talk about health a lot. Um, but that's basically about like it. Like when I first moved here, I was obviously super depressed, very sad. I barely came out of my room. You know, after being in a relationship for 12 years, like it was the right decision to make, but it was still hard to let that go. So I went through a phase where I was very, very sad. And she never asked me about it. She never asked what happened, why I came by myself, nothing. Like it was just, we're not talking about that, but you could stay here. So I'm grateful for it.
So I feel like naturally um in these podcasts of just like it's safe to say that majority of these conversations that I've had with these people of color are that we don't talk about emotions with family
Hmm.
in general like the conversation of just like being vulnerable with one another it doesn't happen
No.
unless it's at a funeral um
Yeah.
and i I think like hopefully like someone's watching this podcast and it's like okay maybe we can change that in our household of just like
Yeah.
having some uncomfortable conversations sometimes, but it doesn't always have to be uncomfortable either. Just
Hmm.
talking about emotions doesn't have to be uncomfortable. Let me say that.
Right.
Um, but just being vulnerable with one another and like being honest with where we are in life right now. Um,
Mhm.
and I've been doing better with doing that just with my friends in general, because I'm like trying to retrain my brain on that too, just so that I don't do the same cycle as well, just in my relationship. For example, me and my partner talking about emotions, like that took a lot. Like she's had to pull a lot out of me. We've come a long way, but just like having to retrain everything that like you grow up with them not doing that, um,
Mhm.
can be pretty tough.
Yeah, because it's definitely just it's a way for us to survive, you know? Because when we were kids, like if I were to speak up about anything that was against church or me questioning something, immediately I'm getting in trouble, I'm getting yelled at. I don't want to get in trouble. I definitely don't want to get yelled at, and I definitely don't want to get overbeen. So like I would just be the perfect little child until I can leave. So that's
And
basically how I made it through.
my partner never got her ass whooped before growing up,
Um,
and I'm just like, she's like, the way she says it, it like, man, makes it seem like I was like really beat. Like that's
But see, that's
child.
the thing. We were though. It's just it
Yeah,
was so ingrained in us that it was normal that it was like, wait, it was just like a regular weapon, but it wasn't. Like I didn't
yeah.
get that many growing up because, like I said, I was very scared of my parents. But my sister did a lot. She didn't shut her mouth. Like she would say what she needed to say. And I would just be like, Mike, just be quiet. Just stop. Like it will stop if you stop talking. Stop talking. It's not something like, Mom, just stop. She's fine. I'll tell her to stop, you know? But, you know, she had a mind of her own.
Yeah.
I was too
Uh,
scared to, though.
yeah, I think yeah, it's changing though. Like now you're becoming like the complete opposite of just like
Oh, yeah. But that's growth. You know, that's
yeah.
just growth. You choose to grow. You choose to relearn things and reteach yourself the right way. And I still take a lot of what I learned in the church with me, which is why I feel like I'm such a joyful, just want to spread love person because I did take all the good out of that. And so, like, I don't know. It's just, it's something you just have to kind of get through and learn to just stand up for yourself and talk about the things that matter to you. Because if my mom just say anything that's just kind of sideways, I will say something. Like, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut at this point, but I'm very respectful about it. But sometimes it can get to the point where she gets so frustrated that she'll just kind of like walk away from the conversation. Cause I don't know, I dissected a lot when it comes to religion and like family dynamic and everything. And I think that's what helped me to be able to even live here in a, you know, quote unquote toxic environment.
Yeah. What is your relationship now like with religion and God and stuff like that since you exited at
I don't
18?
I don't really have any religion relationship. I feel like I'm more spiritual. I very much think that the energy you put out is the energy you get back. And I feel like the universe just has the best intentions for me. And that's the way I choose to live my life. Like things that happen that aren't, you know, necessarily awesome, they happen for a reason. And I always learn something from them. And it might hurt at the moment, but at the end of the day, like at the end of that tunnel, when you see that light, you realize like this is why I needed to go through it. And it's okay. Can't even be upset, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah.
As yeah, and so you've been on a journey with since coming out at 18, and then now you said non-binary. When did and you said that was recently um
Mhm.
you found yourself, like how did that come about for you?
Yeah, so I started like okay, so I was like struggling in my relationship. I want to say 2020. It was like end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And I just decided to start like reading different books, meditative books, therapy books, getting to know your mind books, like just all types of books. And that's where I started realizing like I have been doing a lot of the things that I do with my life, how I portray myself, not for me, but for my partner. And even the way I dressed, I was very, very fun presenting, and it wasn't me and never felt like me. Since I was a kid, I remember always saying like, I just want to be Yvette. Like, I don't want to be a girl. I don't want to be a boy. I just want to be Yvette. Let me dress how Yvette wants to dress, you know? And I never understood why I wasn't able to do that growing up. And so when I started reading and I started really meditating and trying to figure my own brain out, like who I wanted to be as a person and how I wanted to be perceived in the world, I was like, you know what? I want to just be that. Like, I'm tired of being, this beautiful, feminine presenting person when that's not me. Like, I'm just Yvette. If I feel like wearing a dress today, I want to wear a dress and I'm going to wear it not because I'm a girl, biologically, but because I'm just Yvette and I just want to wear it today. And that's when I was like, okay. Then I ended up coming out to my partner, and that was that was very difficult for her at the beginning, but it was definitely something I needed to do. And after that, I feel like that was like it for me. Like that was like the last chain that I needed to just like break to be able to like be authentically myself.
Yeah. So I love your swag, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm like the I'm like I've said this on the past, but just like my fashion game's not there. I'm trying to get it there. And in 2025, I'm gonna get it there. I'm
You
speaking that
are.
into existence. Like it's going to get there.
I
Um
love that.
because I've been in a switch up too of my own, just like being like clothes are clothes, right? Just like being free and like letting it represent your personality too. Yeah, so I hear you on just like also just like good for you on just like being able to come to the sense of just like okay, this is who I am, and just like live in that truth even with like having a partner, and like just like that transition of just like having to come out again essentially in a different way. So and now it looks like you're doing better, like you're thriving in a way. Like do you feel like you have seen changes within yourself since you've been able to live in your truth now?
Um, yeah, I feel like I'm like more proud of myself because like there's not this piece that I'm just kind of like hiding and tucking away. So like I feel like I embrace every day, like happy that I can be myself and like I don't know, just embracing every part of me. And I know for a while like it was hard just because like moving here, I gained a lot of weight and I've always been very self-conscious about my weight, even though I've always been pretty skinny. And like a lot of my stuff didn't really fit this past year. And for a while I was like a little upset, but I was also happy because like I liked the weight gain. Like I actually liked the extra fat. But I was so used to and like ingrained that you have to be skinny, you needed no fat, like no pudge, no nothing. Like you just need to get twig. And so like that was hard, like a little bit transitioning this past year because like, my boobs got bigger a little bit and like there was that body dysmorphia to where like I don't have that flat chest that I'm used to having. And so that part of it was a little bit of a struggle, but I'm kind of learning to love them. It's a little hard still, but they're there.
Yeah. Still
Yeah,
just
but
like figuring it out though.
oh yeah, for sure. I feel like it's something I don't really think about it much. I just like to be myself and be me every day. But some days are a little harder just because I do want to be looking a little bit more on the masculine side. And because my boobs have grown a little bit more, it's like I can't really do it fully how I would like to. But yeah, I'm learning to love that part of me.
Yeah, well, good for you. Good for you. And so you're single. We didn't really talk about like your past partner much, but I'm just curious, like, what is your like, sexuality wise? Like, are you? How do you identify in the community? And they say
Well, for a
queer, but that's
while,
an umbrella. So it's like,
it is.
are
It is. I think it's because like for a while I was kind of identifying as pansexual, but once I separated from my ex, like I realized that it wasn't me like needing to like broaden like who I could date, but it was just more so I wasn't really happy in this one, so I wanted to have all the options, you know. But like now that I've been single for a while, like I'm definitely just lesbian.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I love ladies.
Yeah. Yeah. Figured that out.
Yeah,
And growing up in
and
Cali, do you feel like you found like a lot of is there spaces for lesbians that you have found? Like we've talked about this, like there's places for the gays. We see the boys out often everywhere.
yeah.
But for your experience lesbian wise, just the femmes, the studs, the women. Have you seen that for
Uh, I'm not really out here on like Hester, um, but when I was younger, you know, first exploring everything, I did go to a few clubs. Like I went to the Catch. I think that's what it was called. I don't really remember, but that one was very clear and it was really cool. Like it was sectioned off to where it was like a gay side. So like they would have for the men and then the other side was only for the ladies. And I always thought
Oh,
that was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. But that's the
yeah.
only experience I've really had when it comes to like the lesbian scene. Like right now, I've just been mostly trying to like find events because I don't drink, and a lot of events are around drinking, and so I've been trying to find different things. So like I think it was 2 weekends ago, I went to like this little like pop up bread event. It was just queer people, and that was really cool.
Make what are you guys doing? Making bread or
No,
you said
we didn't. So one of it was like this one girl, her name was Morgan. She started to make bread. And so she just brought a few of us together and she made bread and like different dips. And like we got to try her bread and then buy some if we wanted to, just to like support somebody in our community. And it was
that's
really cool.
dope. That's
Yeah, it was
dope.
really cool. And then the people who wanted to drink like bought a bottle of wine and like that was it. It was like super chill. So it was
Congratulations on your sobriety, by the way. It's at least
thank
three
you.
years. I know that. How long has it been?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, it's almost 4, so it'll be 4 in January.
Ah, good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
What got
Definitely
you?
needed to happen.
Yeah, like what got you to that to s- to transition?
Um, a lot of this of my transition happened because of my relationship, honestly. Uh, I just felt like I was leaning too much onto it. If we want to be technical, I was definitely an alcoholic. Like I needed to drink all the time. Like if I wasn't, like I was thinking about it. And it just came to the point when I decided that I wanted like turn everything around and start my own, you know, quote unquote therapy because it was really therapy, but it was. I was like, you know what? I don't think drinking has been helping, so I just decided to stop. Like it was, it was just a night. I was home by myself. I was drinking and I was sad and just thinking about life. And I was just like, you know what? I don't think this is being like helping me at all. Like if anything, I'm staying down longer and hangovers suck. And I just decided to stop that day. I was like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm throwing all the alcohol away and I'm done. Like,
Good for
and that was
you.
it. So that was the
Good
last
for
time.
you.
Yeah.
Cold turkey,
Yeah.
just like that. I love
Literally.
that.
I don't know why I do stuff like that's how I went vegan too and vegetarian. Like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be
Oh, you don't
vegetarian.
eat
And I
meat
did it.
either?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
how long has
Yeah.
that
So
been?
that's been like 7 years. That's been a while. But I
Well,
still like, I like to say I'm like 90% vegan because I do enjoy pastries and I have like milk and eggs sometimes. And I'll have like some wings sometimes, but it's rare. So it's like, I like to say I'm like 90-80% vegan. Yeah.
yeah.
And then of course some stuff has leather. So like there's a whole spectrum to being vegan. For me, it's just more so just, I want to take care of my body and the animals because I love animals. So yeah.
Good for you. I feel like that's like hard and stuff. let's see. It'll be close to 3 years. I used to be a chewer. I used to have
Oh,
one little
okay.
dip in my mouth all the time, all day, every day. So it'll be 3 years on my birthday. I quit on my 30th birthday. So yeah, it's time to
That's
stop
awesome.
doing it.
Congrats.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Shout out to my partner who pretty much forced me to do it. But
I
uh,
heard that that's hard to quit. That's hard to quit. Like for
it
sure.
it is. I think about it
That's
still often
really
when they say
hard.
that bullshit of like it takes 31 days and shit like that. That's a lie. It's a lie.
Nah.
It's it's a constant. It's not constant anymore. But like I'll
Mhm.
randomly have cravings. Like man, I want
Oh
one right
yeah.
now.
Oh, that's how I felt when I heard about the election. I was like, I need a drink, like just to start at the tequila, just one quick one. I'm like, nah. Let me just go work out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like
Yeah,
especially when you do it just to like cope and avoid feelings. Like
exactly. That's when you know
yeah,
you don't need to be doing it.
right.
Mhm.
And you brought it up, the election. What was that like for you to like? Because you, well, for one, like you're in Cali. What was it like to see like, okay, my state, okay, but then just to like see all the red around you? What was it like?
Mhm. Honestly, it was very heartbreaking. Like, if any, it just broke my heart because there's that much hate in the world, you know. I don't know. I just wish there was so much more love, but to see it in front of me, just like that many people decided to vote for this hateful man who not only hates on, minorities, but on women. Women who take care of all the men in the world, give birth to them, teach them. It just, it doesn't make sense to me. And it was just a very heartbreaking thing. Like I was angry at first, but it was just more so sadness. And I think that's mostly because I'm very like much an empath, so like I feel things very deeply, and it's very heartbreaking and disappointing to see that
Yeah,
so many people have this internal hatred towards women, towards minorities who aren't doing anything to you, like they're just living their life. And
yeah.
it just makes me really sad. And yesterday I went to there's this little town called Tehachapi about an hour away from here. That's usually where I go thrifting. And I was, having a great day. And then I started seeing a whole bunch of Trump signs. Um, we ended up going into one thrift store where they were in there actually talking about Trump, laughing at the fact that he won. And it was like, calling all this hate, like he's gonna make America great again and get rid of everything we don't need anymore. And I was just in there like, wow, like, this is really, y'all are really sitting here talking about this while I'm standing right next to you. Like, like you really don't care about how you make other people feel, about how people are just out here living their lives trying to just be happy and enjoy life. And all you care about is the fact that white people aren't really in like this high standing, you know?
Yeah, I did
So
see that. Yeah, it's tough. Like it was emotionally just draining. That day was just like so heavy. Personally, for
it
me, I was just
was.
like, man, and it was heavy because for me, like I'm in all this red. Like this is where I live.
Um, so what state
And
are you in?
I'm in Kansas.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I'm right in the
Cool.
center of it all. But you know that commercial, how it was the Kamala Harris commercial where it had like the conservatives talking about like if my wife goes and votes for her, that's cheating. That's cheating. Um
Mhm.
Instead of, because it was like, you don't have to, you can keep it a secret of who you vote for. Like I feel like
Mhm.
that commercial got like reversed on us. It was like we can keep it a secret if we vote for Donald Trump. They're never gonna know if I actually voted for his
Mhm.
ass or not. Like we can keep
Yeah.
it up in the air, and like I can say I voted for Kamala, but I voted for Trump, and I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Do you have anybody close to you or that you would assume that potentially could have voted for Trump?
Yeah, my parents.
Yeah,
And like we haven't had that conversation, but like I think I don't want to. Um, I already struggle with my relationship with them, but I just if they were to tell me that, I think I would that would probably break me. Um, and like I was talking to my sister about it yesterday because I'm like I really feel like that voted for Trump, but I don't want to bring it up. Like if I do, like I things are gonna be sad, and I don't want to hinder the little bit of relationship that we have already. And yeah, it's just I feel like it's hard to navigate a relationship where you aren't fully accepted, but you want to keep that relationship, even if it is the bare minimum. And that's my choice. You know, if I had the choice to cut them off, I don't know if I would. And it's a different decision for everybody when it comes to parents who don't accept you for who you are. But for me, I don't know. I think it's just how we grew up and were raised. Like you're just supposed to take care of your parents. Like they're older, they're in their mid 60s. Like for me to cut them off now at their older age, like I just couldn't see myself doing that. I don't know. So it's just like I just would rather not have that conversation, even though I'm pretty sure he did. And it
yeah,
hurts, but to hear the words for it to come out of his mouth, I don't want to handle that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel you, and I'm the same way. Like I feel like I know some people that did. I just rather not ask too. I'm just like, but it's like it's noted. Whether I don't
Mhm.
ask or not, it's definitely noted.
Yeah.
Like, okay, because I've seen like that post, like, oh, you're immature if we can't be friends. People are throwing that friends were too loosely, too loosely.
Yeah.
We might be
Yeah.
associates, acquaintance,
Hmm.
maybe colleagues, but not friends. Like my
Hmm.
friends, my family. Um, yeah, people. I wouldn't call you if I don't. If you're not someone who I would call, like, then yeah, they just throw that
Hmm.
around too loosely.
Yeah. I agree for sure.
But we'll see. I'm gonna be hopeful though. Like what we gotta be like, right? Like I
Oh yeah,
can't
for
sit
sure.
here and be in like this funk the entire time, right? I gotta hope that the people that voted for them don't really, but they really believe like that. It's they're not trying to take away our rights. So
Mhm. Yeah.
that's
It's just difficult.
this
Like,
isn't a point to where I want to be like I told you so. I really want you to be fucking right.
yeah, yeah.
Please be right. Shit.
I
So
think right
what?
now too, it's like there's so much hate on TikTok, like not only, coming from the red states and stuff, but I feel like it's coming from the people who did vote the right way, I feel like, for Kamala. But um yeah, like I hope they're just wishing so many horrible things to these people, and I just don't think that we should be doing that. Like it just hurts me because like now our community is being hateful too. And like I get that it sucks that they hate us so much, but for us to stoop down to that level and be hateful as well, like that's the part where I'm just like, I don't like that. It's like stick to us, stick to our community, empower each other, show love towards each other. But all the hate being pushed out right now because of the election, that's the part where I don't like. I wish people would stick to the love side and
Yeah.
instead of focusing on all the things we're angry about, like let's come together, like really come together.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree. and I'm gonna continue to push my platform, Queen Talk, and everybody's voices is amplify the voices that need to be heard. Like they ain't finna shush
Hmm.
us. Shit. Like, um, we're gonna continue to grow the community, build the community up. And I feel like like in Cali, there's multiple ways that they're doing that. Um, but I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
here in Kansas, like these red states, we definitely gotta band together and get some shit together, get it together.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so
It's hard though, because then that one person, somebody has to start organizing it, you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah, the
yeah.
fight's not over for sure, for sure, for sure.
Hmm.
It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna do this joyfully without anyone's permission. Yvette,
That's right.
Yvette, that's right.
Yes.
Man,
Yeah.
is there something in your story that like we didn't touch on that you're like, yeah, I really wanted to talk about that today. I really wanted to get that out. Let everybody know this about me.
Um, I don't, I don't really know. I don't really
Okay.
know. I think just to hit a little bit on my past relationship, um, like I have so much love for my ex. Like I will never have hate for her. Uh, but I do want to say that if you're in a relationship, like you shouldn't like dim yourself down for that person, and you shouldn't let them control who you are as a person either, or for you to compromise your morals or who you want to be just because you want their love. Um, yeah, and then I don't know, because my relationship with her was, I feel like it was never really good. Like there was good moments, but it was never really like this pure love. But we were young when we met. Like we met at what, 18, 19. So like the end of me being 19 to her end of being 19, or yeah. So it was just like we're kids, we're growing up, but like we both had to figure ourselves out. And I became this person that I just, even thinking about the person I became, I hated it, you know, because I did become like vengeful, like because of how she would treat me, I would want to treat her horribly as well. And if you're ever in a situation like that, I just don't think you should be in that relationship, or you both need to seek therapy. And yeah, because I feel like if I would have listened to myself, listened to my body and how it reacted towards the things that I went through with her, I would have never stayed as long as I did, and I probably would have never married her, if I'm being honest. So I just want people to just like believe your intuition, like trust yourself. Because usually your body reacts to how somebody is treating you, if it's right or wrong, you know? So yeah, I think that
Yeah.
one's huge.
Yeah. Thank you for
Hmm.
that. And that I think that is important. I think we fall into relationships and just become content, and then it's just like, this is what it is. Like, I'll
Hmm.
just do this because this is normalcy, and then if you have kids on top of that, then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
now we're just in it for the kids, and it's just the cycle. So you're definitely right
Hmm.
with just being true to yourself and really 100% before you make that commitment. It's a big commitment.
Hmm. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Uh,
Yeah, that person should be a reflection of you. And if somebody tells you like, oh, you're just like your partner and it doesn't sit well with you, you probably shouldn't be with them. Yeah. I like you learn a lot once you're older, but like as kids, like you're just not thinking straight,
yeah.
the literal way.
Yeah, the literal way. Yeah. What would you like to leave the audience with today? Is there anything else that you there's like, man, I want to leave the audience with this?
Um, I would have to say to find joyful moments every day. There's always something that could just make your day. Like I was outside this morning with my dog and a leaf came down just like slowly, just spiraling down. And it was just so beautiful. So like find a moment every day where it's just beautiful. You just take the time to enjoy that, especially in nature. Nature is our best friend because it's just out here giving us oxygen, you know? And yeah, just find those beautiful moments in the day and it'll make
Love
your
it.
day a little bit better. Mhm.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Yvette. Like, I appreciate you coming on the Queen Talk. Of course, like I said, I just slid in the DMs and look where it got me. Like, I
But
appreciate
I love
you.
it.
Yeah, I seen your post. It was just like, hey, see these people that comment, and you just like don't really respond. It's just one of those days. I'm glad it wasn't one of those days that I hit you up and you actually
Yeah.
responded.
Yes, me too. Because I'm like, I want like community to be more diverse. So this is awesome that you're doing this.
Yeah,
I love
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask though before we leave about your TikTok journey. I like to ask this question just
Oh,
because
okay.
some people don't believe like it's like your growth on TikTok. Like within the last 3 years, huh?
Hmm. Yeah. So like I didn't have TikTok before that. I was like, I'm never getting TikTok with time. And once I finally got it, I was like, okay, this is cool. But I'm like, I want to see more people who look like me, who like, I don't know, have a different vibe. It's not about hate or like drinking or anything. I just wanted to be like fun, lighthearted. And that's when I started getting into thrifting. So I was like, well, I might as well show my outfit, you know? So that's kind of how I started doing it. It's just like going thrifting, showing my outfits, like, and that was it. And then people just started following me. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't
And
know,
have
just like
you?
creating a safe space.
Yeah, yeah, it's dope. And I see
Hmm.
the community that you're building. It is growing. So you're doing great. Like I said, I love your style. So I'm taking
Thank
notes and
you.
taking tips. So those
Yeah, I
those
like to
clear
say I'm in my
glasses that
grandpa
you have,
era. Oh
those
yeah.
clear glasses that you have
Yeah,
go
they're on
fucking
Amazon for like
hard,
10 bucks.
hard.
Thank you,
Noted.
thank you. Yeah.
I love that though. I love that. Like that's why Queen Talk I want to do that was because of the representation that was needed to
Hmm.
see other queer people of color. As you heard, Kansas, there's not a lot of people of color, let alone queer people of color. So,
So right.
um, starting that community, like trying to find all of us and that are in pockets and put us together.
Hmm.
So yeah, I hear what you're saying about that. It's definitely needed. Always, representation matters for sure.
Whereas,
Thank you so much for being a part of Queen Talk, uh, being vulnerable, sharing your story, and allowing others to see if they can relate and hear it and bringing joy to this podcast. Like, thank you. I appreciate it.
yes, I love that. Thank
If
you.
you guys want to be a guest on the podcast, there's a link below. If you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, there's a link below. But as always, family, friends, strangers, love. Be nice.